Good morning, good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at XRP, the S&P 500, the Sigma coin, and liquidity. So, all right, good morning. So we've got some events that kind of played out here in the background, and I wanted to kind of go over these with you. So first off, looking here at the XRP price action chart, we have basically the equivalent of a wave 1 and a wave 2 starting point here. Depending on how we end up doing this count, I kind of have this wave 1 actually over here at that level for the start. So my anticipation is that now we're actually moving into a larger bullish breakout across wave 1 here, and this is the beginnings of wave 1 and 2 of the next larger degree. So that's what we've been watching, and right now this particular move is basically finding extreme support right here at the 618 and on top of this 21-day moving average. So zooming in, we do have a 5-wave down structure. So we have a couple pathways that we're going at this point. So here's your 5 waves, and we're watching this particular 5-wave pattern to identify whether or not this is just a small temporary move to the downside and then we continue higher and it's a 1-2, or if in fact this is going to have a larger ABC correction. That is what we're kind of basically identifying here, where we do something like this and then we can go. So maybe a longer duration move. So that's what we're waiting and watching on. But price action wise, right now in both scenarios, if we just go and if we roll over, we actually have up as our next move. So we've got some inefficiencies sitting right here in the 150s. And so I would expect that if we do a corrective move, we would be looking at a breakdown along these ways, like so, something along those lines. So maybe a little bit higher, but that's what we're waiting and watching for. So this particular price action, though, has been starting to swoop and set higher lows. So we have absorption occurring in this level, and we will continue to monitor how that ultimately plays. A little bit of moon math. We've got ourselves the fractal from back in 2024, which is this run up that we had for XRP. Now, if we take that and we just kind of, for fun, this is just, again, just fun moon math, lean that over, you can see we have this little bounce right here when we zoom in. If we take that same little bounce that we zoomed in on and just kind of stick it on top of this, assuming it's a bull flag, if that was the case and it continues what it was doing, trajectory-wise, we'd be looking at a breakout up into the $4 to $7 region pretty quickly, and this would actually be by middle to end of April. Now, could happen, and so we'll go over as to why here in just a few moments, but this is just for fun. So this is not what we're expecting immediately. I think it's going to be a longer journey than that, but there is a chance, as you know, that XRP moves very quickly when it goes. So, all right, now that's the XRP price action. Zooming in again, we just have this potential breakdown, but we know that most likely a retrace is moving upwards. So with that, we've been able to develop our XRP Bunny indicator. So here's a sneak peek of the XRP Bunny. Basically, we've had some trades that come in. It's just the simplistic dots that we have moving through, and we're just waiting for signal. So once those dots come in, we have people lined up and ready, but you can see we get great rates of returns over the last couple of days, and now we're ultimately looking for upside for that one. So there's your sneak peek of the XRP Bunny. I'll be updating my profile to show the website, and so that's coming in soon. Now, exciting news here is the S&P 500. So S&P 500 identified a flat structure was playing out here on the SPY over the last, since back here in February. Actually, it was January. That's where we discovered that we had the flat right here. There it was. January 15th. So there was the indication that we had the potential flat structure breaking down happening here. And it took a long time, but now here we are finally hitting the expected March 20th measured move. And this would mean that SPY was the last one to ultimately get there for our flat structure. And now we have already bounced. So on Friday after hours, right as market was closing and after hours, we hit our level and we took a bounce. So this should now mean that SPY is ready to start grinding its way out of here. At the same time, the volatility did the same rejection. So this is very bullish. So this is wonderful to have the S&P getting there. We have XRP poised and ready for an upside move, maybe a correction or a continuation. And at the same time, we have the Sigma coin. So Sigma coin has been doing a vertical accumulation model here, and it looks very choppy, looks very ugly, which is fine actually, because in my opinion, this is more of an organic move to the upside. And community based, right? So the Sigma community has been absorbing any kind of pullbacks. So we're just waiting for somebody to show up to the party. Like, come on, you want to sell. And we expected that we would have this kind of chop region here for quite a while, and we're still doing it, right? So but the higher lows is the key here. And I wanted to show you, as Sigma was running upwards, it looks really gross, right? So I wanted to show you what we see here for XRP. So I've went back and I've looked. This is on the 1 hour time frame of XRP back in 24, and you can see that off of the measured move to the downside, we bounced and set a higher low, right? And then we bounced and set a higher low. Then we accumulated sideways, all right? And then we bounced back to the XRP chart. We accumulated sideways, broke out, back tested right here, and then continued higher for the next leg for Sigma, and then we continued higher for the next leg for Sigma, and then we set a consecutive series of higher lows. After that higher leg, we went low and low and low. And I was saying yesterday on the space that this is basically this type of chop right here is this kind of grind higher move before a continuation and breakout really gets everybody excited. And you see how that kind of just plays right there. So we go back to Sigma. Here's that kind of grinding sideways price action before the breakout. So accumulation, in my view, is almost finished, this vertical accumulation. And we're going to see price action go boom very, 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 very soon. So I'm excited to see that playing out. So this is just a great example. Here is Sigma, right? Just again, consecutive higher lows, accumulation rough range, and then we bounce over to XRP again, and you can see accumulation, higher lows, and continuation march. And that's what gave us that massive breakout from being down here in the 50 cents up into the dollars plus, right? So just there you go. There's all of that fun. So the journey will be long, but this is kind of how things played ultimately back in the day. And I would imagine we're right in like this zone, right in here somewhere is what we're getting ready to do for our push and run. So be ready, be excited, and be for it, because Sigma has been basically showing how absolutely organically great it is. So target wise for Sigma, let's jump in those again real quick. Just a simple move from here to the retracement of the 618, which we have over here. Let me just get these RSIs off. So zooming out on the daily with this community and what we've been offering. Simple move back up to the 618, a 2.78 million market cap, 210%. We go and take the same fib and we run ourselves another measured move just to the prior all-time high, right? We get up to there. Now you're looking at a 12x, and we then push a little higher, maybe get ourselves up to a 236. Now we're looking at a 30x, a 1.236. 3.236, a 50 million market cap. Bam, you got yourself 54x. And the elusive, exciting 618, which maybe get front run. X-Force is thinking about 70 million market cap, so there's your 78x. If we hit the 1618, you'd be looking at a 121 market cap, and you'd be looking at 134x. So let's just, 134x, nice, right? But for now, we're just going to say like maybe an all-time high return right there, 12x. So 2x is what we're basically expecting at this point, just for the short-term move, and that'd be great at this beautiful retrace. And I'm for it and excited. So Sigma's looking wonderful, showing the bullish breakout. We got ourselves XRP showing that these behaviors look like this when you're going, and it's not just straight up candles, it's more choppy, and that's what we got going on here. And then now finally SPY hit the move that we were expecting. And liquidity, oh yes, liquidity. They may want to go lower. We'll see how they do it. They may trap these bulls may actually win this time, and they come for the liquidity up in here into this region. So we'll see if we get some oomph through the weekend here. So liquidity looks great. Sigma looks great. We got ourselves a historical SPY looking wonderful, historical view of how accumulations work on breakouts, and XRP is setting a higher low. So hopefully that was bullish enough for you. But the Sigma community, 160 million Sigma gets you into the indicator that BA indicating, and we have ourselves a fun new bunny indicator that you can grab through our website. So we'll post that here shortly. So thanks guys for checking in this morning, and we will see what tomorrow brings.